It's really easy to think that we're doing it wrong. And I feel strongly like that child that's yours, that child was perfectly assigned to you. So just show up. If you're showing up, you're doing it exactly right, regardless of if anyone else is doing it your way.
So the way to repair, and children are so forgiving and so resilient, and repair can never be too late. Like, you can always go back and repair. And the first step in repair is speaking for your own parts and talking about what happened to you. I got taken over by a part that just got really scared. And I had to do this with my daughter not too long ago, when she was a senior in high school. And I'll just share this little story. I got online in the morning one day at work, and her grades were online, and she had 4 Fs, a C, and a D. And she was a senior in high school. So I was freaking out, and I had parts that were really just hijacking me, and had to work all day long as I was seeing my clients to just acknowledge that they were there, to give, to let them know we're going to talk to her about it when we get home. And parts that were really fearful, like she's ruining her chance to go to college, that, had all of these fears and beliefs. And so I got home. On the way home, I was talking to myself and talking to my parts, and we're going to do this. We're going to be calm. We're just going to go in the house, and we're going to sit down, and we're going to talk. And I got home, and I marched up the stairs, and I opened the door, and I start talking, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So I didn't even give her an opportunity to speak for herself, but I had a part that completely hijacked me and took over and just went on this rant. And she looks at me and just starts crying, and I'm yelling at her because this part of me was just terrified. It was angry, but it was more terrified. And she started crying, and I'm going on this rant about, you're not going to be able to go to college, you're going to be on the streets, you're not going to be able to get a job, your life is over. I'm being this part is being pretty dramatic. And I slammed the door, and as I'm stomping to my room, say, screw self. I don't care about self right now, because this part was too activated. And once I laid down on my bed and thought, okay, that didn't go as planned. That didn't go so well. And so I had to get back up, and once I calmed all of my parts down, and I went back in and I said, I had a part that took over that was terrified when I saw your grades. And I am so sorry that I just came in and did what I did, because that was coming from this part that feels terrified. And can you please help me understand? And what turned out was that she had been sick for about a week and a half out of school, and she hadn't gotten all of her makeup work done yet. And so those grades weren't accurate. And once she got all her grades turned in, then her grades were fine. But my parts jumped to all kinds of conclusions. And so once I owned that with her and said, that was my bad, I really shouldn't have done that, and I'm really sorry that I hurt you the way that I did. So repair is really about us owning our parts in the wounding that happened, and then allowing her to speak for what was it like for you, for me to come in here and start yelling at you like that, because I know that that was really unfair of me, and to listen and hear and meet her where she is.
What are the benefits of self-led parenting? I think that's what creates the juice of you see me, because when I'm in self, I see you for real, without a cloud of something else. So the benefit of self-led parenting, it really transmits pure love and acceptance. And so when I'm in self as much as possible, I do things like speak for my parts. I do come back and loop and repair. And my child says, wow, you care about me that much to come back and make this repair? And it might not even be conscious, but parts are watching, the ones that were questioning if I'm worthy of love. They're like, wait a minute, maybe I am worthy of love, because you could have just gone to bed, but you chose to come back and to say, I'm speaking for my parts now and letting you know what part of me was taken over. And you know, and I could tell that, I saw the look in your face that when that part was taking over, it hurt you. And I feel so sorry that, and I want that part to know that I don't feel the way I was expressing. I do love you and I do accept you. And if that part felt like I didn't, then I just want that part to know that was me being way off base. And that that's not me. That's just that part of me. And there's this healing that happens. So it allows us to tune in and be real and be authentic and vulnerable. We talked about that earlier. When you do cause pain, again, it's that looping, it's that causing repair, that we're going to go back and really own it. You know, that was me. Those were my parts that were talking. You know, as kids, one of the great things about teenagers, I find, is that they have more of an abstract mind. They can really like think about parts in a new way, like think about how parts could exist when you're conscious and all this kind of stuff. And like, there was one time when I sat with my kids and said, guys, I finally found the part of me that gets angry at you. Like we're just sitting in the living room. I said, you know, like I noticed the last couple weeks, I've just been really short. My patience was gone. And when I got in touch with this part, what it told me was, if you guys are acting out, that I'm failing as a father because I'm not preparing you for the world. And so when you're acting out, it's like in my face that I'm failing. So I have a part that doesn't want me to feel like a failure, and it gets angry and it shuts down the feeling of failure, and it just wants to push you so I don't have to feel like a failure. So I just want to apologize that I let those parts lead me, and I showed you anger and I showed you frustration, but I just figured it out. It's like, you guys aren't doing bad stuff. You're just being normal teenagers, and I have these parts that are making me do this. And you just sense like, damn, respect, Dad. Like, you just own that shit? Sorry. You just own that? Like, wow. Thanks for modeling that. You know, like, and that's how we're parenting too. We're modeling how to be with others in a way that's respectful and that's authentic. And so as they age, it's really amazing to be able to talk at that depth and that level, and they get it.
I think the biggest part, well, there are two parts. One is me having access to understanding that I am not all any one thing, that I actually, even if I have a bad day or blow up, that I can come back, I can own what happened, the part of me that was blowing up or whatever, and then come back. And that really allowed me some eliminated shame in parenting. I could have compassion for myself, which opened up my ability to be present to them. And then the other side is knowing that they have parts, and on any one of their bad days or bad moments, I could understand that. And sometimes, and I did introduce it to them at times, like, it sounds like a part of you is really sad today or mad today or whatever. And that would calm them down, and they would be able to talk and engage in a different way.
So when I think about repairing a disconnection, the first thing I just did was take a breath. You know, take a breath and just recognize it, like, oh, okay, that wasn't myself. So I like to take a breath, check and see which of my protectors just showed up. Somebody had a good intention, and really get to understand, what's that protector doing? What's it doing right now in my body? Where does it live? How is it hijacking me physically? How is it hijacking me emotionally? And I invite it to tell me the story of who it's protecting. Who's beneath there? What are they afraid of? What are my protective parts afraid will happen if they don't jump in? So let me see, because I'm kind of talking backward. That's more of like, okay, so
that's all good.
Let me
Keep
just
going.
go back. Okay, so taking a breath and noticing that that's happened. Noticing that there's been a rupture. I think it's really important as soon as we have enough self that we could access to acknowledge it to our children. You know, I just did something I did not like. You know, I heard myself say that and it hurt me to say it. Really acknowledging, like, that was not myself, that was my part. I think children are so available to understand that was just a part of me. And they have such a capacity for forgiveness. And the validation for the child is valuable beyond belief, just to recognize that wasn't myself. And so I think recognition is maybe taking the breath is the first step, recognizing it, knowing where it sits in the body, and being able to speak for it. And being able to speak for it might take me some time to see what I need to do next, and invite the child to tell you, where did that land for you? Did you notice that? What happened there? How did that feel? Can I talk to that part? And invite the repair, not just from parent to child, but part to part. As parents, it's vital, not just for our own systems, to take responsibility for the repair. I did something that hurt you. I think it's vital for children to know that initial punch that they took when they felt that when you, even just a little flinch on their face, that was recognized. Number one, you're visible. I see you. You're witnessed, and I don't want that to happen again. And so that child, not just in the relationship with the parent, gets the message of, oh, my body knows how to tell me what's going on. My body knows when it's been injured or hurt or scared. It's not just in the relationship with the parent, it's in the relationship with the world. So they're at school and something happens, and they recognize that, and they know, oh, that's just a part of me that's getting reactive, and this person is going to need to repair that before we can move on. If it's a peer, and also the beautiful gift of when they make the injury, when they cause the injury, that they know, oh, I could repair this. Shame doesn't need to take over. I can simply say, oh, that didn't feel good, and go back to the table and offer the same olive branch to whoever they've hurt.
Yeah. So to repair that disconnect, recently a term for me that popped up is called looping. Like I just say, you know, I need to loop back. I need to close this circle. Like I'm moving ahead. I need to loop back and repair this. So when the disconnect happens, I believe it is the responsibility of the parent, not just because we're the parent, but because we actually have the cognitive ability to think about what we're thinking about, and we are the ones that are really the main supplier of love. Like their job is not to take care of us. Our job is to take care of them. So when we realize I made a mistake, like people say, oh, you have all this early childhood background in IFS, you must be an amazing dad. I'm like, no, I screw up just as much as everybody else. But I know when I do. And that's what makes the difference. That's what makes my kids feel secure. Because I will realize in that moment, I made a mistake, or I'm disconnected. And I will then, and it's a very humbling experience, because you have to say, I was wrong. And you also have to remove the power differential there. Because like a lot of times as parents, I think we feel, it's okay if I screwed up. I'm the parent. I can say whatever I want. I'm the boss. And there's like this justification. But if we realize we cause pain, then we could like let that go, and we go to the child and we say, we could speak for our parts, or we could just say, you know what, I realize that I was not my best self there. Like during dinner, like I let myself become angry, and I was stressed about other things, but whatever you did does not cause me to do that. Like I caused that. I let myself be blended with a part that was frustrated, and I allowed it to take me over. So I just want you to know I'm really sorry that I hurt you, and that I want you to know that that was not your fault. That was my stuff. And I think as parts are listening, they go, oh, because I was about to make this my fault, and I was about to say I caused this, and I was about to internalize that belief. Thank you for like not letting that burden kind of put its roots into my being. Because like it's almost like it could, if you leave it, just like a cavity, if you leave it, it will keep growing. And it starts off as a tiny little cavity, and if you go to the dentist right away, it's a very minor little thing that happens. But if you let it grow, it becomes a full abscess, root canal. And so if, as we notice we cause damage, if we do a repair soon, from my experience, I noticed there's a healing to the possible burden that would have grown into something deeper. And that consistency, as I mentioned, if we keep even if we apologize, if we keep doing the same thing over and over, I don't know if the repair really works, because we have to have a change of behavior too. We can't. It's not like confession that you get to be a horrible parent and say I'm sorry, and then get to be a horrible parent next day and say I'm sorry. You have to learn from your mistake and say I'm going to try harder, and tell your kids I'm going to try harder. I want to be a better. I want to be better for you when I do that. I don't want to do that to you. I respect you as a being too much to see you in pain. And like I know you've mentioned this, Derek, that children are so forgiving and so like, it's okay, Daddy. You know, even when they're little, I'll get you a tissue, Daddy. You know, but then you realize like they're trying to caretake you even in that moment. So it feels great, but we have to just even realize like they want your love so much that they're going to help repair you in that moment so that you could be okay to love them again. You know, so we just have to have this meta awareness of like, I'm here for you, and it feels great when you love me. That's like that is the juice. Like I love that feeling, but you're not here to take care of me. And even if I make mistakes and I apologize, so we could have parts that in the repair could be sucking energy away from them, because like, I'm so sorry, I feel so bad, and they start loving us, and oh, I'm being loved right now, it feels so good. So we have to watch in our repair that we're in self, and it's not a part that needs their love again, that we felt, oh, we screwed up, they're not going to love me anymore. And that goes back to our childhood of not being loved. And we have to just really be clean about who's apologizing here and who's doing the repair. Because if a part's doing the repair, in the moment the child might feel better, but then you walk away and I'm sensing there's still a feeling left with, why don't I feel better? Like almost feel like Dad feels better. I don't feel better. You know?
Yeah, it's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
And the other thing about parenting is one size does not fit all. Every child is different, and every child, you know, even within the same family, one child might need to be parented differently than the other. And so as you learn how to attune with yourself, then you can attune with your child. And regardless of what is thrown at you, you're able to negotiate it in the same way. You know, I talk to parents a lot of times now about if you're, you know, if you grew up in an alcoholic family and your parents, and now, you know, let's say that you're 45 now, so you're long out of the home. If your parents came to you today and said, we are so sorry, you know, and told you the impact that they know that it had on you, would that be meaningful? And parents are always, of course, like, yes, that would be so powerful, which is a testament to the fact that repair can always be done. It can always be done until the day we die. And some people wait until the day that they die to do that. And this is about trying to connect with your child in a way that you don't have to do, you know, a ton of repairs as they get older, but that you feel more confident as a parent and feel that you have the skills, because parenting is not an easy job.